Do you ever feel like you're creating content just for the sake of it? You know how important content is for your business success. So, whenever an idea pops into your head, you share it straight away. But have you ever thought about whether it was the right time or place to share that idea? Here's the thing, even if you feel like content is a chore right now, there's a few easy steps to identify the best ideas and turn them into content that will get you the results that you desire. In this episode, I'm going to share how to turn your ideas into strategic content that gets people subscribing and buying in a way that doesn't take up all of your precious time. And if you'd like help to develop your ideas further and then create a plan that sees you breeze through the upcoming holiday period without that frantic last minute scroll through your phone to find something to post about, then I'd love to invite you to my upcoming content planning workshop. Head on down to the show notes to pick up your free early bird bonuses.
Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show.
I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 140 of the Powerful Content Podcast. It's so lovely to have you here. Welcome to all my beautiful new listeners. And a big hug to all my regular listeners. I really, truly appreciate you all and thank you for being here. Now, today's episode, I wanted to dive into a challenge that so many of my members and clients seem to have. And that's how to turn an idea into something that's meaningful for you and meaningful for your audience. I find that people tend to be at one of probably very opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to having ideas. They either have way too many ideas and don't know where to start, or they have absolutely none. Either way, it makes creating content a true challenge. Now, way back in episode 20, I talk about where to find ideas. So if you're struggling at that first step, then that episode may kickstart your creative juices. I also have a mini course that you'll find inside of the Content Effect, but is also available to purchase as a standalone course. You can find the details down in the show on how you can map your content ideas ready to turn into a solid content marketing plan. But let's go back to basics for just a second. You know that you need to create content in order to showcase who you are and what you stand for, including your unique point of view and thought leadership. You also know that it's really hard to stand out from the crowd at the moment. There's so much digital noise out there that it's truly deafening. Creating content that your audience cares about is hard enough, but getting it in front of them is even harder. So you need to make sure that the time that you spend on creating your content is quality time. Now, the second reason content is important for our business is that it moves your ideal client through the client journey with you. That's from connect to subscribe, nurture, convert, and onboard. So not only does our content need to be high quality, it needs to be purposeful and strategic as well. So having all your ideas at hand or being prepared is that very first P to consistent content. You then move to planning, which I'll talk about in upcoming episodes, producing your content and having a process. So that's the 4 Ps. But this idea piece is the very first P to consistent content. So the question is, how can we turn our ideas from that seed, that something small, to something that is meaningful and purposeful, that connects, that nurtures, that converts, that strategically moves our ideal client through that journey with us? It's about moving from a mere sense of an idea to something that resonates with your audience's heart. Now, this journey from idea to connection and then beyond that is what creates authenticity and deepens our relationships with our audience, which in turn establishes you as a trusted expert. It's really that first step in setting them on the client journey with you. So your content becomes eventually more than just words, more than videos, more than the graphics that you create. It becomes a really important bridge for building lasting and meaningful relationships that show your ideal client why they need to work with you. Now, I see this process of taking that whisper of an idea to content that actually matters as a number of steps that you can work through to really ensure that you're being intentional with your ideas and then using them in the right place at the right time. So, the first step is starting with that whisper. Every single piece of content that you create begins as an unrefined thought, as a spark, as a realization. Often these ideas are actually inspired by something meaningful to you. So it might be something that you've observed, a conversation that you've had or overheard. It might be a question from a client, a memory that you have, a story that you can tell about a personal experience. And more often than not, they usually come to you at the most inconvenient time. And I usually find that this is whilst I'm in the shower or whilst I'm driving. And this is probably because I'm not consciously thinking about content ideas. My mind is drifting and my thoughts are just those fleeting moments of memory. But having said this, when I'm really thinking about setting aside time to strategically build my thought leadership, I'll make the time and space for fostering and building on my ideas. I might go and work outside. I might make a coffee or sit in the sunshine and jot down some random notes that I then can build into frameworks. However, your ideas come to you, it's important to capture them without filtering or judging them. My other big tip here is to record them all in the same place. Use one dedicated notebook, not many. Use an app on your phone, voice record them. Whatever works for you, make sure that you do it consistently and put the ideas in the same place. Now, I currently use my project management system to capture everything here. And the idea here is to capture them, not perfect them. You can do that later. And if you want to know more about using your innate creativity in your business, especially when it comes to building on ideas, then you can go back to the previous episode 139 with Dr. Marion Piper, where she talks about finding and using your creativity. Now, the second step, once you have that idea, is to refine the idea. Go deeper into your idea in relation to the purpose of it and your audience knowledge. So ask yourself, why does this matter? Why does this idea matter? And how does this align with what my audience needs right now and what their current challenges are? This is where you can begin shaping your idea with intention, which will create content that really matters to your ideal client. Now, I love in last week's episode with Dr. Marion Piper, she talked about putting boundaries around creativity, especially when you're in this stage of refining your ideas. This is so you don't mull over it too long or do too much research or get overwhelmed by information. So if you tend to do this, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the episode and think about putting boundaries around the time that you spend in that research refining phase. Now, a distinct advantage here when you're trying to refine your content ideas is being very clear on the possibilities or transformations that you provide to your ideal client. That's what they can be, what they can do or have after working with you. It can really help you distinguish whether your idea really does matter or whether it's an idea to park for another time or place. Now, this is something that I love to cover off inside my membership, the Content Effect. And it brings so much intention to your content when you are aware of the possibilities that you create, particularly when you use it in conjunction with the idea of the client journey. Now, the next step is organizing your ideas and organizing them around key themes or your messages or your current sales focus. Now, this step starts to take you into the realm of planning, but if you can think about an idea as part of a much bigger picture, then it can really help you move into that planning phase much more quickly and easily when you get to it. It's about giving your idea that context and depth within the greater holistic view of your business. So, just to give you a really quick example and one that's really current for me at the moment, I have an idea that came to me on the weekend as I was gardening. And this idea is that I don't want you to feel like you have to create content. I want you to want to create content. So I might carve out some time this week to flesh out this idea into steps for a framework. So, how can I help you move from something you have to do or something you feel like you have to do to something that you really want to do? I can then create a high level podcast episode on that entire framework, take you through the steps that I come up with. And then I could dive into each of those separate steps or part of the framework, whatever I come up with, as individual episodes. This could then be part of a broader education piece that leads into my membership, the content effect. So it would make it really easy for me to plan a focused launch for the membership, knowing that I could use this content to my advantage as it leads you to purchase a service of mine, but also to your advantage as it'll connect, nurture, and hopefully convert you as well. So I can take this idea of, doing something that you love to do rather than something that you have to do, and then use this to lead into a current sales focus of mine. So I really want you to take a step back with this step and think about your idea from a much broader perspective. Okay, so the next step is, does it provide value? And I think that this is a question that we don't ask ourselves enough. Valuable content goes way beyond that first spark of inspiration. It provides your ideal client, your audience, with clear takeaways or actionable insights. So this is where you think about how your audience can actually apply the idea in their own lives or businesses. It needs to be useful in some way to them. Otherwise, you're wasting your time creating it and you're wasting your ideal client's time as well. So think about providing a practical takeaway to give your audience meaning to the content that they're consuming. So this might be an insight. It might be a simple framework. It might be a story that you tell. It might even just be an open-ended question that they can reflect on. So when you give your audience something that they can use, your idea becomes content that's more valuable and impactful and something that matters. And now the last step is about sharing the idea. Don't let this idea gather dust. It came to you for a reason. If you have to park it, then do so. But so many people talk to me about how they have half-finished blogs or an almost finished Instagram post. You started turning the idea into content for a reason. So make sure that you finish it and you share it, because believe you me, your audience needs to hear it right now. When you share your idea, I want you to be genuinely curious about how your audience reacts to your content. And I don't mean just looking at how many likes that you've got on a post or how many comments that you've received. Are they taking action? Are they moving through your client journey as a result of this piece of content? And I want you to know that even if you think that it's not perfect, you've made that connection with someone out there and they've started on that journey with you. And that's what matters. Trust your instincts and go with your heart, not just your head. Now, remember, content is as much about you as it is your ideal client. So at the end of the day, the ideas that you develop into content that matters is as much about taking them on a journey with you as it is meeting your strengths, meeting your time, energy, and resources, as well as your objectives. Now, knowing your content creator archetype is really going to help you here, and it's going to give you some insight in how you're likely to take your idea and transform it into content that truly matters. And if you don't know what your content creator archetype is, head on down to the show notes to take the quick quiz. But just to give you a bit of an idea on how your archetype can impact the way that you turn ideas into content that matters, is that if you're a planner like me, you'll like to record all of your ideas in one place. And you'll likely categorize them or tag them, perhaps into types of content or the themes of your content, so that they're in a place that you can quickly and easily find them when you need them. Now, the free spirits out there are going to be open to ideas coming in at any time and really embrace them in the moment. If you're a free spirit, you'll probably create the piece of content straight away and want to share it immediately. I want you, though, to take a breath before you share it. Is it something that your ideal client truly needs to hear right now in order to move them through the journey towards a particular service of yours? Or would you park it? Could you park it for a little while, create it, and then share it at a later date when it truly matters? Now, my observers are likely going to research how other people collate and develop their ideas and perhaps take a few different systems or apps or a test drive before settling on a method. The observers will also need to be careful not to take on too many ideas from other people during that research phase, as they will find it really difficult to develop their own unique thought leadership. And lastly, my collectors will be a little bit chaotic and likely keep their ideas in different notebooks or digital places that you forget about. But awareness here is the key for you. It will really help you settle on one method of collecting and developing your ideas. So when that spark of inspiration hits, if you can't create content from it immediately, make sure that you file it somewhere where you know you'll find it. Then you can refine it, organize it around core themes or your current sales focus. Make sure it provides value to your audience and don't let it gather dust. Share it or schedule to share it as soon as you can. By taking all of these steps, you'll really be able to bring your idea to life in a way that serves your ideal client in a strategic, purposeful, and powerful way. Now, if you'd like help to organize and transform your ideas into powerful content, then I have an upcoming workshop that will really help you plan to have an organized, peaceful, and calm holiday period without having to worry about content. You're going to be able to create content because you want to, not because you have to. As a bonus, when you sign up to this workshop, I'll gift you a year's worth of content ideas mini course for free. Plus, you'll also receive 1 month free inside of the Content Effect. Head on to thecontenteffect.com.au/plan to purchase your tickets. Now, by following all of these steps that I've outlined in the podcast episode today, you will be on the right path to take your idea from that seed into a flourishing piece of content that really serves your ideal client and takes them through that client journey with you. Make sure that you head on down to the show notes to grab the links to all the things that I've mentioned in the episode today. I can't wait to see you at the workshop at the end of November 2024. Talk soon.
Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.